Hi, this is James Vu Anh Pham, and you're listening to MLVC, the Madonna podcast, your place for all things Madonna Louise Veronica Ciccone.
Oh, you say that so well.
Thanks.
If we ever need an extra co-host, we know who to call. And hey, everybody, it's Stefan. Thanks for joining us for another episode of MLVC. As you just heard on the show, we are joined today by James Vu Anh Pham, who danced alongside Madonna on the Celebration Tour. I'm sure all of you know that. And who's currently on the road with FKA Twigs on the Eusexua tour. Welcome to the show, James.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So first off, this is the most important thing. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
How was your birthday?
Um, it was wonderful, actually. I'm definitely paying for it now. This is not feeling amazing, but
Well, you know, you got to suffer sometimes for
yeah.
it's the yin and yang, you know, you got to. But it looks
In
like you're
your 30s, it's like, you know, you feel it.
wait till you hit past 40. Let me just tell you, you think recovery time in your 30s is rough. Where are you podcasting from today, James?
I'm in London at the moment, in the UK.
And this is your like you're in a bit of a holding pattern between the Eusexia dates, I think, right?
Yeah, it's we're on a bit of a pause. Um but actually I mean it's been really lovely. A lot of the cast members we're all living together at the moment, so we're yeah, moving through this together.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
hey, it's I'm sure having a bit of a break to sort of regain some rest and all is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's just jump right in because I know people are dying to know. First, we're gonna go way back in time. How did your origin with dance come to be? How did dance find you?
I well I grew up in Perth, Western Australia, and both my parents are Vietnamese, and I'm the first generation to be raised in Australia. And I actually started in music when I was like 7. And then around 15, I was in an arts public school. And I yeah, lost the passion for music at that time, I think. I'd been doing it for so long in such a certain specific non-creative kind of way, so I'd sort of lost that juju. And then someone recommended that I try out a dance class. Um, Also because I'd still very much had stage fright, so anytime I played instruments on stage, my body would kind of seize up, and I would blank, and yeah, it's very traumatic teenage experiences. And what I loved about the dance classes is that it involves the whole body. Um, and I loved being physical as a kid, but I didn't like sport.
Mm.
I feel like dance was a beautiful in between kind of thing. And I guess from there I was kind of hooked. I think I didn't go into a dance class sort of with the aim of it unfolding into anything major. It just was very much something that gave me joy as a kid. And then, yeah, within a year or so, it just became very much an obsession, and I just wanted to try other styles and kept going. And my parents were a bit like, okay, we don't know what's happening, but if this makes you happy, you know, we'll do our best to support. And then by the time I was 17, I moved to New Zealand and like really began taking it seriously and training full time. So.
Right. So I think that I had seen you went to the New Zealand School of Dance,
Mhm.
um, and then participated in a bunch of programs and projects in Australia, Belgium, and the UK. So I guess that sort of all of those different programs and different experiences helped develop you and your dance throughout the years. What was inspiring to you during those programs and those different areas that you were dancing?
I think, I mean, that sort of training and the lineage of um, movement that I was learning at the time is very like based in contemporary dance, like concert contemporary dance, with some ballet as well. So then it was a very technically specific kind of training that would usually lead you through dance companies and dance institutions, um, which, yeah, it's not like a commercial kind of training at all. Um, and yeah, so I don't know. I think the first sort of 10 years of working professionally, it was very one style
Mm.
and one way of working. Um, and yeah, I think working full time all the time in various different projects um, taught me a lot about how to manage working very long hours, being very physical, how to recover, um, and making lots of beautiful connections. Um, yeah, I didn't know it would lead me to something like Celebration Tour, but I did feel in one way very prepared, and then in other ways very unprepared.
Right. So, and we've spoken to so many Madonna dancers on the show, as from way back to Blind Ambition to Girly Show to Reinvention and Confessions and Sticky and Sweet, like so many of her tours. And I think one of the things that is a through line through all of those people is they all have sort of specific abilities and maybe some differences to or specialties that may sort of make them like pop during an audition process. And did you feel you had any special abilities that brought you to the Celebration tour that maybe somebody else didn't?
Um, I I don't know. I think, I mean, I always instinctually felt like dance as a form of expression was very, very important to me. But in hindsight, I think I always had a very clear and concrete idea of how I wanted to dance,
Mm-hmm.
which maybe sometimes as a student, as a someone teaching me would be like, okay, just calm down, or like, I don't know. But I think that having that already prepared internally um gave me a very intent, clear direction in my development. And I think a lot of the times I would be employed, I noticed that I would always be used for my specific, unique way of moving naturally and my um, passion for creativity. So I think a lot of the projects that I worked with in my 20s, I would usually choreograph my own solos, or they would sort of just like leave me in the studio to work on my own and then come back with like a lot of um, things to offer, and it would just end up in the shows. Or then the choreographers would then ask me to share the material that I made to the other dancers or like teach them. And um, yeah, I noticed that that was a very common thing for me. So I think I didn't know if that was a strength, but there was a like a nice confidence that I did have something to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I really had no idea what I was going into for the
Yeah.
audition.
I mean, and we're sort of segueing into Celebration, but I think one of the things that I loved about your dance and then many of your colleagues on the Celebration tour was I felt like there was an individuality that everyone brought to the cast. However, you were still working together as a unit, and but it was very clear, distinctive personalities that shone through in everything. Even though like if you're watching, you can see my backdrop is the "Justify My Love" sequence, which was absolutely breathtakingly beautiful, and everyone was moving together as one unit, but there was still personalities that were shining through, and I think that was sort of the same for every sort of sequence within that show. What led you to Celebration? How does that? You don't just one day wake up and all of a sudden I'm gonna go and tour with Madonna, and then it happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a few choreographers that I'd worked with before. So Damien Jallet, who's I think I've known him for like over 10 years now. I've worked with him years prior to the audition, and also Sidi Labi Shekawi um, as well, and they worked very much in the same world, like the concert contemporary dance and the institutions. They've made a lot of work there. Um, and I don't know, I was in a ballet company at the time in Belgium, and I was very unhappy. That was actually the first time that I'd signed a contract to be in a full-time dance institution. Usually I'd go from project to project and there were extended things, but they were led by like one choreographer who had their team. So it was a very unique experience every time and very sort of catered to your strengths. But in a dance institution, um, you kind of just sort of feel like cattle. You just
Mm.
like have to, you're just like a bunch of numbers that then get divided up in different pieces that they bring choreographers in and commission work. Um, so it's like a bit of a buffet, but through that experience, I met Damien. Um, and I don't know, I'd sort of energetically put this call out to the universe, being like, I'm either just gonna stop dancing because I'm actually very bored now and tired. Um, or, like maybe something magical and crazy can just appear. Um, and very much out of the blue, I got this message from Damien and his partner, who's also a good friend, Emilios. And they were like, would you be okay if we put your name forward for Madonna to consider for this upcoming tour? Um, and I thought it was a joke. I was a bit like, that's crazy. I mean, yeah, sure. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, but I don't think it's gonna happen at all. Like, I'm very much not that kind of dancer, but um, why not? And I actually didn't think anything much of it because I just thought it was such an out there idea. It was so beyond me. Went to bed, woke up, and then on my Instagram, Madonna had followed me on Instagram, and I was like, this is a fake account. And then I went onto the Instagram, and she sort of cleaned her page
Yep.
at the time, so there weren't so many photos. And I was like, is this a real account? Like, I'm not sure. Um, but then from there, things moved very quickly, actually. Like, another account, I think Sarah, her manager, wrote me and was like, hi, are you available to um, do a 2 week audition in like a week or something? Um, and I was not free, but I said yes anyway. I was like, yeah, I'll go. I'll be there. Um, Yeah, it happened very, very quickly.
You say yes and then figure it out afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if your body knows, you figure it out.
Yeah. Well, especially for someone like Madonna, like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll figure that out. Uh-huh. Sure. Yep. I'll make it
Yeah.
happen.
There was definitely a part of me that was like, is this a total scam? Am I gonna get kidnapped? Like, this is happening way too quickly, and I don't know a lot of these people that are like texting me about like traveling, blah blah blah. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just kind of it's like high risk, high reward.
And what were your 2 week rehearsal audition like? What was that audition process like for you?
It was crazy. I honestly, it was just the most beautiful, intense experience I've had in a long time. Especially at that time, I'd spent so long working and dancing in a very specific way.
Hmm.
Um, and I'd been doing it for so long that it was just an understanding for myself that it's like, yeah, this is easy for me. There's nothing new. I just feel like I'm almost wasting my time now. So then when I came to this experience for the audition, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't feel prepared for this.
Uh-huh.
Wild. You know, like I was just very much a contemporary dancer at the time. And then suddenly it's like every couple of hours, I'm thrown into a completely different genre of dance. And it's just like a common understanding and an expectation that you just do it. Um, and I was surrounded by so many incredible artists that are masters at what they do. And they're so good at being chameleons and making it look like they've danced in that way for a long time. Um, and yeah, there were, you know, beautiful moments of learning and genuine connection and me being like, hey, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Like, can you help me? And you know, that's how I met Chaz, that's how I met Darrell. And they were very open and very helpful with me, um, and guided me along the way. So um yeah, and I guess I'm very much a perfectionist and I don't want to be seen looking terrible doing something. So we'll finish a full day. Um, and I would, yeah, just review things and like practice a specific dance style till like 4 a.m. or something, and then wake up again in a couple of hours to like do it all over again. Um, yeah, it was beautiful. I would need like a year to recover from that to like be able to mentally be okay to do it again.
And so so you get the job, obviously. Spoiler alert, James got the job. And um, what was the development of the tour? Was it already locked in certain things, or did you get to help develop and I think you choreographed a couple things in the show.
It was actually the very first day, like the very first thing we did was Die Another Day with Damien Jallet, um, which was actually such a relief. It was the one thing that sort of like broke the ice for me and then made me go, oh, actually, I think I can do this. I think I'm going to be okay. Um, and I'd worked with Damien before, and I very much understand his creative process. And he's such a visionary, and he's not only a choreographer, he's also very much a director and like a visual artist, and has such a grand scope of what his idea is. And on the first day, he was like, okay, we're going to do Die Another Day, and here's the rhythm of it, like the very iconic beat of it. And I'd known that song from a long time ago because my dad loves that song and loves that movie. So I grew up with it, and so already I was like, I know these counts. Okay, good. And he gave us a very clear choreographic task of what he wanted from us to deliver. So he was in a way like trying to taste test and see who was able to create something quickly and yeah. So and he chose mine and Donnie's choreography. And so then we shared that with the dancers. Um, so it was a very collaborative, fast-paced, creative process for that. And then yeah, from there it just really flowed. So I think doing my physical choreography for the first day and teaching it amongst the other dancers and sharing that um, experience and camaraderie was, yeah, that was nice. And then, yeah, I feel like that interlude after the Prince moment,
Hmm.
after prayer, was also very collaborative in that way. Um, and I think amongst the dancers, we contributed a lot of that movement. Um, for Damien to work with.
Well, Die Another Day was one of my favorites on the show. I always
Yeah.
I saw it a couple of times and I was always like, oh, Die Another Day.
Oh, that's nice.
Also, and like I said, with my backdrop, Justify My Love, I also thought, and I think one of the things that I love about Justify My Love on the celebration tour was the juxtaposition between the numbers and the styles, and like it was just so almost quiet and beautiful and intimate, but
Mm.
big and bombastic at the same time. Like the movement was so great on that. And I mean, not that I see tons of other tours, but I just don't feel like other people were doing that type of dance movement on stage, like, and I loved how Madonna was woven into not just that, but just any of the other numbers,
Yeah.
which was great. Did you have a favorite number on the show that you loved to do?
Um, I mean, I genuinely loved Die Another Day to perform it. It was um it there's I in my personal life I hate responsibility. Like I it's probably something I need to figure out for myself. Professionally, when I'm given a lot of responsibility, I respond very well, and it forces me to be very present, and it is very technical that you move so fast on such specific beats with M, and I'm right next to M in and around her for the whole song. So it's like if I do one thing wrong, if I mess up, that'll fuck her up, or I might like
Mhm.
touch her, like, and I've hit her a few times in rehearsal as well, like there's so much, and she's definitely hit us as well. Um, and we have these like really heavy costumes and really heavy hats, so we're already working against so many obstacles. So I have no choice but to be hyper vigilant, um, in that part of the show, and that's really exciting for me. There's so much risk involved. Um, and I mean, yeah, of course, I love the song. Um, it's really iconic. And then in opposition to that, I think Vogue is such a vibe to perform. It's such an opposite experience. There's so much freedom um, within that, like moments where you have a couple of counts of 8 to make your way from the center down to the front, and you can be as you want, like in your character. Um, And yeah, it's a beautiful moment to connect with the immediate audience in front of you, and yeah, it's very theatrical, and um, I like performing that. I really get to sort of research myself as a performer,
Mhm.
theater-wise. Um, yeah, very two opposite experiences of performance, but I get a lot out of it.
Yeah, I got to see the show a couple of times. I think it was about 6 or 7 times. And I was in different vantage points around the stage, on the floor, a little further back. And so I would pay attention to different things each time. And I think the time in Philly, I was closer to the front stage. We called it the cake stage when she would
Mm.
come up for
Oh
Nothing
yeah.
Really Matters. And so when you were at the towards the front on the Vogue area, I was able to see you and the dancers just sort of like hanging out, having fun.
Yeah.
Um, and I think you had a parasail, and like it was just weird things that you all were doing. They're just like just having a blast. And
Yeah.
I think what I loved about the different numbers was how many different characters you and the other dancers would inhabit throughout the show, and I guess that was Madonna's idea, like point was to sort of take everyone on this journey through her career. And
Mm.
um, so yeah, it was fun, from like Justify My Love to Die Another Day to Hung Up, the Vogue Ballroom, like there were so many different personas that you were inhabiting. And um, yeah, thank you for being part of Hung Up, where we did get, although we got a little hung up on Tokisha, we then did get taken back to the disco. So that was
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really a testament to um, M's, like she's such a true appreciator of art, and I think she really, really respects craft and commitment, and it's such a sacred act,
sure.
form of expression. So she's very aware of what's going on, not just in the commercial industry, but like in the concert dance realm and like performance art, and there are very many different wheels of artists that exist within this greater um performance industry. And I think maybe a lot of artists are more in the commercial realm and work with the same commercial flavors, and that gives a very specific thing. But M is just like, I think all of this is also very heavily inspired by and can be juxtaposed by um this other kind of art, which is, what Damien's very strong in, what City Lobby's very strong in, and what La Horde is very good at. And um, she mixes them all together and ha also then has access to a very different group of artists and performers that can deliver this and that and both. And everyone's such a master at what they do, and everyone's like a little bit crazy. So then when, yeah, we're left on our own to perform on stage, if there's moments where it's not so heavily choreographed, we can show our personality and that it is fun and vibrant, and she can rely on us in that way. She doesn't have to
Mhm.
baby us or look after us if, you know, things aren't finished or whatever. She knows that we'll get the job done and do it well. Um, yeah.
And question on just like the stamina that you all have to have during that show, because I mean, barring the fact that Madonna was on stage for pretty much the entire show and, singing and dancing and walking, I mean, the dancers were like times 100, like, I mean, just between some of the interludes, the dances themselves, I mean, the ray of light, just watching everyone, like constant movement.
Yeah. I'm just tracking back now, like putting my physical body like through that memory process. It's like I'm sweating. Um, yeah, it was crazy. Like it was very, very crazy. But I think like when you're in and around that many people with that much energy, you know, energy creates energy. You can't help it. And there really is such a tribe and family feeling with everyone there. And strong community. There's no choice. Like you feel like you have to show up and you have to push, and you're connecting to something that's so much greater than you. Um, yeah, it's very special. So like stamina wise, I didn't feel like we were so prepared. We ran the show so many times, and was so adamant about us like being able to deliver every time. Like she demands that of herself, so she also expects that of everyone else. And um, yeah, I mean, it was fucked for Mexico. Like the altitude really that screwed me up. Like that was really a push. Um, yeah, I thought I was gonna faint, but yeah, it's fine. There were definitely moments during Die Another Day where I was like, I could faint on her. So I would, yeah.
Well, you kept it together. I mean,
Yeah.
did you have a favorite ballroom guest?
Um, oh, do you think, I mean, so many of them were gag worthy, but I think for me, yeah, Twigs
Mm.
was really fab, and the way she handled the situation was amazing. She's such a performer. Um, yeah, that was really exciting for me. I've loved Twigs's work for a long time, like since like over 10 years ago. So to see her in her full glory, um, on stage and performing with us, yeah, that was really iconic.
And we're gonna get to Twigs in a moment. Real quick, it's almost the 1 year anniversary since
Hmm.
the Rio show that was the finale for Celebration Tour. What was the experience working in Rio? Because that just seemed like not only was it your final show of the tour, so there's that sort of sentimentality and bittersweet ending, but it's also the largest audience that tour had seen and largest solo show ever for a standalone performance in Rio. I mean, that just it looked massive and crazy.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I we all really understood the scope. of what it was going to be. And at the same time, we were like, we can't think about it too much because it could really wig you out. It's like if you're going to be performing in front of that many people, and it's not just the beach and the sand. You're going to have people watching from the sea on their boats. You have people who have rented out like streams of apartments alongside the road just to have a chance at seeing what's going on. And your eye cannot see where people end.
Hmm.
It just, I don't know. And we were staying at the Copacabana Hotel just in front of the stage, and they built a bridge for us to like cross because it would just be impossible like with that many people and yeah, that much passion like outside the hotel. So yeah, they built that to keep us like able to freely move back and forth. It was really exciting. It was yeah, really life-changing. It's definitely a core memory. Um, and there were so many moments where I was like, okay, just focus on doing your job. Like, just do the show, like, perform. But then moments where I would just like walk past like Daniele or like Nicola or Chaz, and I would just break down.
Oh.
Like, I would just start crying on stage because I was like, this is the last time I'm going to be doing this with you. Um, and then, in moments where suddenly the whole crowd of almost 2 million people would just like scream the lyrics of the song like at you with so much passion and love. Um, it's so overwhelming. Um, yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it was beautiful to watch. And I felt it was such a fitting finale for that show. When we thought it was going to happen and there were rumors that it was going to happen. And then when it was finally happening, I was like, this is good. I was happy that that's sort of like how it went out, even though I felt like Mexico, it would have like, if that was the end, that would have been fine too. But,
Um,
Rio just like kicked it up a
yeah,
couple notches. Um, and, yeah, was there a big cry after that tour ended, or were you just sort of like devoid of of sort of any emotions because you'd left it all on stage?
yeah. I thought I'd left it all on stage, but yeah, afterwards we had like the after party and some of us were staying for a few extra days just to like settle and ground before we would disperse. And yeah, every single goodbye was heartbreaking. I think we'd spent what, like 14 months or something all together every day. We'd eat together, sleep together, bathe together, perform together, train together. And a lot happens in that amount of time. You get to see the, darker parts of people and they see the darker parts of you and you learn and you accept and you exchange that you can't hide. Um, so it you undeniably have like developed a codependency on each other. And there's so much privacy that you need to keep about the tour as well. You don't want information leaking and
Sure.
professionally and things like that. So in a lot of ways, you are separated from a large part of society. You can't share certain things about your experiences while it's happening. So we really only had each other for that amount of time. So then suddenly, when it's just done, um, you're like, who the fuck am I? Like, what do I do now? Like, um, yeah,
Well, and I think that's sort of, I mean, I guess that was good for you because you didn't rest very long after Celebration Tour. Um, and for everyone watching and for everyone listening, obviously there are things James can't talk about with the show because of, we know, there's like legal agreements and whatnot. So for everyone who's going to come yell at me for not asking this or not asking that, well, you're just going to have to pretend that he answered. So yeah, exactly,
it's tough.
exactly. He, um, just be happy he's on the show. So we're now gonna segue because people yell at me for not asking questions all the time, and I'm just like, James's
Yeah,
hands are tied. He can't.
yeah.
Exactly. So you didn't rest very long. You moved on to doing a lot of work with FKA Twigs. How did you first get involved with Twigs?
Um, I'd very briefly met Twigs at the after party the night that she came on stage. And she'd worked with Jackson and Chaz before, I believe, years before that. Um, and it all happened very organically. And I once again had a very similar, like deeper feeling like I had during the audition with M and that whole experience that I would meet her again. Um, and yeah, I think like oh, I think there was a moment in time where actually I was supposed to do a project with her straight, like literally straight after Copacabana. Um, and that unfortunately fell through and had to be rescheduled for another time. But she'd already like been open to having me be on something with her. And then she was very clear about staying in touch for future projects that were about to come up. And then very quickly, maybe like a couple of weeks when I'd returned home, um, yeah, I'd been asked for the Eusexua video clip, the one with Drums of Death leading into Eusexua. And that happened very quickly. That was very wild. So quickly that, yes, again, there were like a lot of visa issues for me. Um, and yeah, at one point I wasn't going to be able to do it. And I'd even said, look, I'm really sorry. I think we're going to have to give this a miss. Um, but at the same time, I was like, if I don't get on this bandwagon now, I think I'm going to miss a lot of things.
Hmm.
So yeah, figured it out and got a secondary passport. And they like provided me with a visa and it was able to happen very quickly, but I missed like 2 or 3 weeks of rehearsal and I had to learn the whole thing in like 48 hours.
Oh wow.
Um, and I got straight off the plane to London, and went straight to the studio and Zoe Tatopoulos um, was already deep in choreography land with the dancers and um, yeah, I just yeah, had to figure it out again.
Fake it till you make it. And
Yeah,
from watching that amazing video, I'd say you nailed it.
thanks. It was again that thing of like, okay, figure it out, but then go home and also figure it out. Like, yeah, you have no choice sometimes. Yeah. But when you know. You just
Hmm.
make it happen.
So that video that you're talking about, that is amazing. Like that, I love her choreography in the world that she sort of created with that video. Did you have any involvement in the choreography? Because it seemed like I was like, oh, that's so James. Some of those movements.
For Eusexua, the video. No, it was very, very much set by the time I'd gotten there because I
Hmm.
arrived for literally like barely the last 2 days. And uh yeah, Zoe is just such an incredible creative. She works very quickly. So by the time I got there, it was a very set, like with the
Mm.
count and the way to do it. And I'd never, it had been years since I'd moved like that. Um, so I really had to, yeah, go full force into that. Um, but yeah, from there, um, Twigs had asked me to stay on for a lot of other projects, um, and allowed me to sit in a much more like creative role and choreograph for Striptease and the On Running campaign, and movement direct for Childlike Things. And so from there, I was really able to flex my choreographic eye. Um, and that was a very beautiful and different experience.
I love sort of how not off kilter, but like her style and her music is so like I guess not mainstream in a way.
Mm.
So it's kind of fun that the movement reflects that as well, where it's just very different style from like a mainstream dance that you like a pop act that you would see.
Yeah, and very much relate to that. I mean, I think the real difference for me in learning about, you know, being in the concert contemporary dance world and then moving over to the commercial dance realm, the biggest difference for me is sex. Like when I'm on stage in a more commercial show, it's like you really are selling sex and you really have to like believe that you're sexy and hot and you mince around the stage and like try and entice people and it's and you use your body and your curves in a different way. Um and I love that. You know, like that's really exciting and fun for me because I never really got to be asked to do that in this other realm. But then Twigs, I feel like she sits in this like really beautiful in between, where one informs the other, and it's that kind of conversation. So you get presented with things that um, are very different and have a very meaningful depth behind them. It's not just sort of like cotton candy being hot for no reason.
Hmm.
It's there's like a deeper layer to it. And Twigs is also a dancer very much.
Oh,
Uh,
amazing. I didn't realize. I had no idea. And I was
yeah,
like, wow, she's knocking it out of the park.
yeah, and that's why I think it was such a pleasure to work with her. It's so easy. Um, and there's a similar common understanding about movement and the body there. Um, and she's so nuanced in how she performs. And I think for me as as a choreographer for that, for Striptease, it was a really beautiful experience of like presenting ideas, seeing how it works on her, but then also facilitating and giving her the space to just be herself because she's such a potent performer.
Hmm.
And I don't want the choreography to take away from that. Like I want the choreography to enhance that even more. Um, yeah.
And she sort of seems like a kindred soul with Madonna. Like I can see why Madonna sort of gravitates towards her because it sort of appears in terms of like their artistry, they seem very aligned and very similar in that way where um, there's more going on than just like the presentation. Like there's so much storytelling in everything that they're doing and the visuals and the movement. So
Mhm.
I wasn't surprised that I saw you sort of segue into that world. I was like, oh, that seems like a very like obvious next step for you.
Yeah, it felt very organic and I'm very thankful. I just sort of like casted myself to the winds and just sort of trusted that one thing would very much lead to the next. And yeah, there is a very distinct tenacity and urgency in creativity between Madonna and Twigs. And I think they really see that in each other and they really respect each other in that way. You know, when someone is so honed in with their craft and their necessity to create and inform and educate and lead by example. And um, yeah, it's the kind of art that I think can be very confronting, but also very healing, depending on where you're at in your journey when you observe. Yeah.
Um, I know you probably don't know, and if you do, you probably can't even say anything. But we're waiting for an FKA Twigs Madonna collab. I'm just putting it out there. I just like, when is that happening, James? And you don't have to answer. Uh, people want to see it. I would love to see that. Well,
Well, there's
and
also a lot of crossover with casting. You know,
well,
like
I was just gonna say, and how it's almost like a little mini reunion with Celebration tour because there's a bunch of who's on tour with you on Eusexia that was on Celebration. I think it was
Jackson.
and was it's Jackson well, but there's been like in some of the videos, I think Twigs has used a couple Celebration tour dancers.
Yeah, Chaz did childlike things, so that was actually the first time that we'd seen each other after tour, which was wild. Um, and Daniele was in Eusexua and also did the on-running performance with Jackson and I. Um, yeah, look, it's so beautiful to keep spending time with these people that mean so much to me. Um, and yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
And I think yeah, I think M and Twigs are both like very drawn to people that are very good at their craft. And so it in a way like makes sense that there's similarities in taste and desires and yeah.
Oh, for sure. So you're on pause from Eusexia. And that's going to pick back up, and then you're going to finish out that tour. Hopefully, I assume, because I know that I've seen like there's tons of visa issues going on with things. So hopefully that tour will come to an end. Have you thought past Eusexia tour at all?
Um, to be honest, not really. Um,
You're living
I
in the moment.
yeah, and I've really been doing that most of my professional life, and so far it's really worked out. I think like to live my life with a healthy balance of staying focused towards the general direction that I would like to move in. I think when I live with too many expectations, I get too tunnel vision and I miss so many beautiful things on the way. Like
Mm.
nothing feels like a bonus. But if I'm sort of much more open, things will just feel natural and very organic and very much like a bonus. And everything will just feel like a gift. So then I'm sort of just going to keep trusting that things will naturally unfold for me. And I mean, I think it's very clear for me that I would love to progress onto choreography and movement direction. And Twigs has been very open in giving me that space and giving me that responsibility for parts of the tour and some music videos. And um, it feels very meaningful for me. Like it feels like a true and nice pathway for me to take. Um, and I mean, dancing really hurts sometimes. It's like I don't want to dance all the time. Yeah.
Oh, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the I love that Twigs has a little Vogue moment in the
Yeah.
Eusexia tour. Were you kind of like, was it like fun for you to sort of be able to live out that? But you're like, oh, what, this again?
Yes, it was such a fun moment. I mean, she'd mentioned it earlier in the creation period, and um, it starts with her track Glass and Patron, which in her original music video she'd vogued in. And then for the tour it would do that and lead into the Madonna homage section. And Twigs was like, "Can you choreograph and manage like these parts of the show?" And I was like, "I mean, that's a lot. I mean, yes, but I would also really want to do it respectfully and work with someone who's very much in the ballroom scene." So then I brought in Satva Ninja, who's also Vietnamese, who is a very incredible voguer, and we collaborated on this journey. But it was, yeah, it was such a beautiful experience um, to be a part of that, and yeah, to honor M during that time. And I was just texting her about it like during the whole experience, and yeah, it was it was just really fun. It kind of like
Hmm.
brought all these worlds together, and yeah, artists appreciating artists and like the legacy of it, and
For sure.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, hopefully there's a celebration tour film coming out soon. It's been a year now since it ended. And I know we're all thirsty to see it. So fingers crossed that's
yeah.
coming out so we can reappreciate the brilliance of the celebration tour. And I was crushed that I wasn't able to see Eusexia when it was coming to the States. It was just the dates didn't align because I was like, oh, but
You're in New York, right? Right now.
I I'm right outside of New York, so but like I think the New York dates just didn't align. I'm like,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah,
Yeah.
I've
It's
seen footage online.
yeah. Yeah. It'll be back. It'll be back
Oh,
in
oh,
yeah.
good. Oh, good, good, good.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Okay, well, James, I know you're busy in London and you've got to go get some, like sticky toffee pudding or something like that. But before I let you go, there's a little segment on the show we like to call the lightning round, and these answers are meant to be quick, off the top of your head, wherever you're at in your Madonna journey. So let's channel back to Madonna land. Favorite Madonna song?
Uh, Papa Don't Preach? Yeah, vibe. Ah, bedtime stories. Gag.
Oh, you only have to give one.
Oh, I actually, I actually love a lot of songs. I would say top three. Yeah, top three.
Papa Don't Preach, Bedtime Story, Vogue.
Yes.
Favorite Madonna music video?
Frozen.
Good one. Favorite Madonna tour? And yes, this can be the one that you were on.
I mean, it would be too easy if I said Celebration, but MDNA was a gag. Yeah, I would have loved to be on that one.
Dark Madonna.
Hmm.
Favorite Madonna movie?
Also biased, but her role in Die Another Day, the Bond film, was really fab. I think her character was Verity,
Yep.
the sword.
Fencer, the fencing instructor.
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh,
That
that's
was really
yeah. I
fun.
think you're the first person to ever say "Die Another Day." I think.
Yeah, it's just got such like huge nostalgia, like connection with my dad for me.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes sense. Favorite Madonna look, and this can be from a video, a tour, a photo shoot, in person.
Um, the sex book um picture. She's like on the side of the road. She's completely nude. Yeah, naked. Madonna naked.
Madonna naked on the side of a road,
Yeah.
hitchhiking.
I'd love to do that
um,
Halloween costume because like there's like censored versions of it of just these like dark strips, and I would probably just like get dark strips and put them like in my bits and just show up to the party.
I could see you doing that. I think you do that now.
Yes, pretty much.
Well, James, tell everyone where they can find you on social.
Um, my yeah, I'm usually on my Instagram, like James Vu An, like JamesVuAnh. And I've like dipped a little bit into TikTok land. I don't want to like spend too much time on it, but it's the same handle, and I think I use my TikTok as much more like being ridiculous, like just stupid.
More ridiculous.
Yeah, more ridiculous, and then my Instagram's a bit more professional ridiculous.
There's slightly more clothing on the Instagram.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, remember, everybody, you can find us on all social platforms at MLVC Podcast. If you'd like to donate, we're on Venmo at MLVC Podcast. And if you've not yet subscribed to our YouTube, tick that subscribe button so you never miss a video. James, thank you, thank you, thank you. Stay where you're at. Don't leave. Don't. I'm gonna end the recording, but we're gonna kiki real quick right after this.
Yeah.
And until next time, everybody, remember, poor is the man whose pleasures depend on the permission of another. James, James, thanks so much. Thanks so much.
Thank you.